Hey everyone, we are live and getting set up. I want to know, where are you tuning in from? Did you sail this week? If so, how was it? Let's see here. We've got some questions in the group. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, it's Graham Ezzy's Windsurf Coaching Community on Facebook. We have a lot of discussion during the week about moves, windsurfing, all kinds of topics about gear, about the mental state, about wave riding. And I offered my advice. Other members of the group offer their advice. Great discussion that goes on during the week. And then every Sunday we do this live stream. And I basically just go through and look at what was posted during the week. And that's what I talk about. So if you're not a member of the Facebook group, then join the Facebook group if you want to be part of that discussion. Otherwise, you're always welcome in the chat on the YouTube channel. And we do this every Sunday around this time, which is right now around 8 p.m. in Germany. Hey, Bjorn, Axel, Rich. Oof, no wind. I know. Some issues with the wind. Hey, Fabrice. All right. Just getting set up, waiting for some people to show up. Where are you guys tuning in from? Did you sail? Are you at home? Are you somewhere else? What's going on this week? Hey, Cosmo. So we're just getting started here. We've got some questions, we've got some videos, we've got a lot of different topics. I'm looking forward to today. Hey, John. Hey, Brian. Some thermal blasting around. That sounds nice. BC. Sounds fun. Warm weather. Some free ride. Sounds fun. I'm good. I'm dying to get in the water again. I had a good trip to Portugal. When was that? Last weekend? Something like that. And that was fun. And or maybe it was 2 weeks ago now already. I don't even remember. But I'm ready for the next trip. I can say that much. Hey, Matt. Cool. What does that mean, Bjorn? What does that mean when you say fire up? Is that like just some wind, or does that mean logo high swell and firing conditions? Is it like the video that you posted before from Lista? Hey, Jorg, Caro. Baltic Sea action on Wednesday. Oh, I missed it. How was it? Did you have fun? Yeah, I know the feeling. Rich. I know the feeling. All right, well, wind is a start, Bjorn, right? That's the start. All right, hey, Dom. All right, cool. So it seems like we've got the crew together. Yeah, I mean, you just need a bit to have fun. Yeah, cool. All right, so we've got the crew together. I'm going to start going through the group. You guys know the drill by now. Yeah, cool. That sounds fun, Dom. Oh, sorry to hear that, Ragnar. Yeah, Charles, that sounds good. Are you gonna go for some more forward loops and board shorts, or do you have a neoprene you're gonna put on top? Nice, good to hear that, Greg. Cool. Sounds like there is some action, even if mostly Europe is winless. I'm gonna get into the coaching. I think I've gone back too far in the group. Let me scroll more forward. Neoprene top sounds good. All right, so these are all older. All right, so Bjorn, Looks like you are first up. Hey, Chris. How are you doing? All right, so Bjorn, first up. So we've got this forward loop video. And I think you mentioned, if I remember correctly in the comments, I know there's a lot of comments on this, that you had some sessions after posting this video. If you have any specific questions as we go through this, put them in the chat. That's probably easiest than trying to go through all these threads again. I know that there's a few more questions you had in there. And there's also some good advice. And if you did have another session, Bjorn, what pieces of advice from the comments were useful for you? What worked? What didn't work? And I think that info is also really useful for everyone, and me too, to know what worked and what didn't. All right, so we got a few questions in here. Anyway, before we watch the video, yeah, so it can be hard to take off downwind. It really depends on the waves and the conditions. The more onshore it is, then the more difficult it is, and sometimes you might want to go over the back of the wave, but it also depends on what you're trying to do. So you can already do rotations, Bjorn. And so like a lot of the downwind advice is about people who are trying to start doing the rotations and about people who want to land planing. And for both of those, it really helps to take off downwind. But there are some advantages to taking off upwind once you've already got the rotation down and you're trying to do different things. So like, for example, if you're trying to do more of a stalled forward, you're trying to get more height, then you want to take off more upwind, more into the wind. There's a few other situations where you might want to take off more upwind. So I think for you, because you're already doing rotations, Bjorn, the important thing is to try different angles. And so I think it's really good to try going more downwind, because you learn what that feels like. And, that might open the door for doing planing forwards, because for doing planing forwards, they're way easier if you take off going more downwind. Just quick, cool, Mark. That sounds nice to sail with your nephew. And so you've also got the questions about the foot straps. And you ask if I rig my foot straps differently versus jumping or wave riding. I change my foot straps all the time. I change my foot straps between wave riding sessions. I change my foot straps in the same session. I'm always changing my foot straps. Sometimes I change them in the water, because also I think your feet change size. Now, I'm not a doctor, and maybe I should have Googled this before, but I think sometimes your feet are more swollen with water. Sometimes your feet have a different, hey Matt, sometimes your feet have a different shape due to the temperature. I think that's my purely anecdotal experience. Someone with more anatomical knowledge in the chat maybe can correct me, but I think your feet change a bit, and I kind of want different things as well for different sessions. So I'm always changing my straps, and it's to the point where it's almost annoying for me. But I feel like the edge for the technique is really worth it. And so down the line versus jumping, I'm going to want slightly different straps. Hey, Max, for sure. And so you definitely want it to be comfortable. You want your foot all the way inside. And there's a lot that can get lost in translation in any of this coaching. But when we talk about big straps or loosening your straps, it's definitely not about making it so that you're slipping out more. You don't want to be slipping out. So the way when I'm always talking about straps, it's tight on the sides and high on the top. So you've got a bit of pressure on the side of the strap, and you have a lot of control over the board, and your foot feels really in there, and you can really get your foot in, and that gives you the control over the board. But with the height, so the height of the strap does a few things. One is it allows you to get your foot really far in. Two, it makes it a bit easier for it to come out so you don't get stuck so easily, which can happen if you just have your toes in. I'm not sure if that's totally clarified your question, Bjorn, so you got to let me know. Anyway, I'm going to switch to the chat. So you said move your front hand back, think a foot curving over the board rather than relying on the foot strap. Carl had a good session on Sunday. Oh no, Thursday evening coming up, upcoming. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, let's get into the video. All right, I'm going to try and make this bigger. Make sure the volume is off. So, I mean, Bjorn, the first thing I want to say is that these are solid rotations, right? You've passed the hardest part of doing the forward. And the foot strap is a journey that's never ending. I mean, so this is, these are super solid forwards. You're leaning to windward, which is right. You're getting compact, which is right. My only criticism is that the video is so far away that it's really hard to see what's going on. If you kept sheeting in, so if you sheeted in really hard through the whole rotation, you would have landed on the board, because you've got a really nice entry into the rotation. But you can see here that you're just not sheeting in that much through the middle of the rotation, and with the forward you really are sheeting in hard, really, really hard. And that's what helps whip you around and give you control to come and land on the board. But otherwise the entry is beautiful. Again, beautiful entry. So you're taking off on these pretty upwind. It looks like very much upwind. Hard to tell exactly what the wind direction is. Here again, it's kind of the same thing with the sheeting in. So you can see that you're not sheeting in enough, and that's what's sending you more in an endo rotation. Having a wide grip can also really help. This is too far away to see what your grip is like. I really like this entry into the loop. It's beautiful, getting the nose down. And then you start to go a bit endo, and it looks like your head is not really looking back. Again, it's so hard to see on this video because it's so far away. So getting the head really looking back, and then bringing that sail in hard. So here, the same thing, you're not sheeting in very hard. Like, you want to be really sheeting in so hard. I've shown a lot of videos. Why does that always do that? I've shown a lot of videos of doing the forwards, and I'll just show it again just so you can see really how hard I'm sheeting in, just really pulling the sail tight into my body, pulling the hand in and down, so like the sail is just, it's almost touching me, and it's tight through the whole rotation. It's tight even here, and that's what allows me to keep sailing through. Oh, this is an off the lip forward. This is completely different technique. So that doesn't even really count. And that's also not me. Anyway, this one shows what I'm trying to show, which is this really, really, really hard sheet in, keeping that sail pulled in tight with the backhand. And it really helps a lot. So when I'm talking about the technique, and I'm talking about the head, I'm talking about the hands and moving your hands back and pulling in really hard, I almost hesitate to say this, but you don't actually have to do them all to do a good forward. If you do all of those things, then you'll do a great forward, and the best forwards have all of those elements to them. But you can actually miss one of the elements, and if you have the others, you'll still do an okay forward. But I like to teach all of them because you don't really know necessarily in the moment which of the elements you're gonna miss. But that also means that, you know, when you're coaching yourself, you can focus on one thing at a time, right? So maybe it's really focusing on the gear and really sheeting in, and then maybe you're not looking back with the head. Or maybe it's, you know, making sure your hands are wide and looking back with the head, and you're not sheeting in as much. And the goal is to get all of those elements together, and that will make that really nice horizontal, easy, controlled rotation. Everything feels like a blur for a second. So the more you do them, the less of a blur. Mario, cheers. But also by looking with your head, it'll be less of a blur. So whenever you're rotating in a direction, I'll show the off the lip in a second. Hold on, let me finish explaining this with Bjorn, and then I'll pull up the off the lip again. So I don't know what these recommended videos are from YouTube. Anyway, so whenever we're rotating in a direction that we're not looking in, it feels like a blur and it feels out of control. And you have this sometimes with the Wave 360 because you just can't look. You just can't look where you're going. And so you end up landing kind of blind. You're rotating blind in the rotation. But you don't have to rotate blind in the forward loop. You can look where you're going to go, and that's over your shoulder, downwind. So, right, the forward loop is that rotation. I have my little model, thanks to Ragnar. Where did I put it? Anyway, so you're rotating downwind, right, in doing that 360. Watch my video if you haven't on the forward loop is a 360, because it is. It's not a flip. And so if you're looking over that back shoulder, you're actually looking in the direction that you're rotating. And then it's less of a blur. It's like, here's a great example. Like, do spin around. So like if you stand up and you spin around and you keep your head square with your shoulders, the world is going to be a blur, right? But instead, if you spin around like a ballerina does, or like I imagine a ballerina does, I'm not sure if this is how they do it. I'm making a lot of claims in this stream about feet changing size, about how ballerinas spin. But basically, you know, how a ballerina turns is I imagine, they choose a spot in front of them, right? And they keep their head looking at that spot, and they're turning, always looking at that, which I'm actually explaining something completely different. I'm sorry, because this is a different concept. But the point is that where your head is looking can change whether it feels like a blur or not. And for the forward loop, all right, these kind of rotations, if you're looking where you're spinning, it's going to be a lot easier. And if you do this like where you're just try to spin around without looking, standing up, it's going to be a blur, like maybe what you're doing on the trampoline. And then if you're looking over your shoulder where you're going, then it's going to be less of a blur and it's going to make more sense. So looking back, which is looking in the direction that you're rotating, is going to make it feel slower and more controlled. You're going to see more of what's happening. You've got a beautiful setup going into these. Like, that was so nice. It's really just about getting the head and the hands. The head and the hands. So really getting that sheeting in, and then really, ouch. So this is an example. So this kind of crash really only happens the more upwind when you take off upwind. So when you take off upwind like this, and then you've cocked the board over, but you've got just so much power in the sail that comes from taking off upwind like that. And like for this kind of crash, it's worse if you are sheeting out. If you're sheeting in, it's actually not such a bad crash. Hopefully that didn't hurt too much. Looks like it hurt. I've had some bad double loop crashes kind of like that. Not fun. But Cosmo, the forward is similar to a grubby. So that's a good start if it's like a grubby. Get some video, post it in the group, and we'll review it. I think going downwind would not hurt, Bjorn, to try them going down. But the biggest thing, because you have some really nice entry into the loop, one of the biggest things is just getting that head looking and really pulling in hard on the forward. Like that one, it looked like you pulled in harder. Kind of looks like. It's hard to see here. Maybe a little bit harder. And you get a bit more of a whippy rotation. You land upright. What is going on with these YouTube recommendations? Anyway, I hope that makes sense. Here, I'll go through this, the forward off the lip. So this one, actually, I wasn't even trying to do a forward off the lip. I wanted to do an aerial, and I got to this section, and my timing was off. And because I wanted to hit it, I think I wanted to hit it, I don't know, somewhere there, but my timing was off. And so I just sort of started to freestyle it. And I used to do, I mean, I still do sometimes, these kind of like grubby off the lips. Let's see if I have one. No, I don't think I have a video of it on my computer. I'd have to, oops, try and look it up. Anyway, so I thought about doing, first I thought about doing aerial, and then I thought about doing a grubby off the lip. And so I really threw the sail forward, and then, which is similar to a forward and similar to a grubby, but I'm looking forward, which is more similar to a grubby, and keeping the board flat. But then there was too much pull in my sail. So for the grubby off the lip rotation, you kind of get here and then hang in the lip and let the lip kind of rotate you around. But there was a lot of pull in my sail, and I was instead of being upright over the board, I was like kind of on the windward side of it, which is more like a forward. So then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pull in and go for a forward rotation. And so here you can see how just the sheeting in just initiates and just controls the rotation, right? Here I'm not really doing much, and then just pull everything in, and that gets it rotated. Kind of weird. All right, let's move on. Mark asked the question about skinny booms. Thumbs up. Skinny booms rock. All right. And I think we've got 48 comments of people saying the exact same thing. Martin posted a video from his son Mika, which is super cool. See, kids. No, Bjorn, you're not entering it in a swing chance position. For the loops off the lip that are down the line, so most forward loops, when we talk about forward loops off the lip, are going backside. This is going front side, which is a little bit weirder. And also, I did kind of a bottom turn into it. So also most of the ones that you see from other people did more like sailing straight into the lip. But yeah, I don't know. This one's just a little bit of kind of freestyle. Yeah, that was a weird rotation. All right, so we got this great video from Tavi. This was pretty cool, I thought. I watched this, and I was surprised with how good the conditions are here in Estonia. Looks awesome. I'd like to go and sail this spot. I've always heard that Estonia gets good wave sailing, but I think this is the most video I've seen of it ever. Sort of the clearest video. Looks super fun. All right. I'm picking dates for my clinics. The dates are pretty much set. I've got to confirm a few things with my wife. And so I think I can post the dates as soon as the stream ends, I think. I need a few minutes to talk with her and confirm the dates for the clinics. But what it's looking like is we're going to do something in Denmark. I'm going to go backwards. I don't know if that makes sense, but we're going to go backwards. So starting in September. So the only week in September that works for me is something between the 4th and the 11th of September. So it'll be a week in that block of time in Denmark, in Klitmøller. In August, I'm planning to do something in Portugal, thinking of doing something around Guincho. Now, I think Guincho and Portugal has a lot of challenges to doing a performance-focused wave clinic, which Denmark is and Tenerife will be. So for Portugal, I'm thinking of a little bit of a different concept where it's a bit more of an experience trip. And so, like, for example, I know someone there who runs really cool e-bike tours. You can do e-bike tours in the mountains and through the city and through Lisbon and through Sintra. Like, it's just some amazing bike tours, and there's some amazing restaurants. And so we would do a week or 5 days that's focused on windsurfing and focused on getting better at windsurfing. And I would do my lectures every morning. And we'd obviously sail as much as possible and do work on the water, but also recognize that Guincho is also a difficult place. And so we're doing these other activities as well. And so it's an experience-rich week where, yes, performance is important and learning is important, but it's more just a great week. And there will be some a lot of windsurfing theory taught throughout that week, but it's not going to be as intense about leveling up like Denmark is or Tenerife is. Next comes Tenerife. I would like to do 2 clinics in Tenerife and do them back to back, and that's looking like so Portugal will be August sometime, sort of mid-August. Again, the dates are gonna be more solid after this. For Tenerife, it would be something more late July, maybe into the beginning of August. And that I want to do two clinics, and those might be a little bit shorter, more like 5 days. But again, I've got to confirm a few things with my wife before I really nail those down. Hopefully I can do that tonight, get them out to you guys in the group, and as well as all the other information about the clinic. So I know I've been getting so many messages from people who are keen to book, keen to confirm. So I'm working hard to get all of that info out there, and I should have that to you by tonight. That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm aiming for. Thanks to everyone who filled out the form. If you are interested in doing one of these clinics this year, this summer, and you haven't filled out this form, please do that now, so that at the end of the live stream, I can check to see if there are any new responses. This just helps me to plan the clinics. I've got a lot of information. A lot of people answered questions. Thank you. It just really helps with the planning. All right. We've got some footage from Axel. I got some questions first from the chat. George says, have you ever been to Greece? I have not been to Greece, and I would love to go to Greece. I want to go to Greece. I want to windsurf in Greece. I want to visit Greece. So where should I go? Tell me, where should I go? I've seen videos of wave sailing in Greece. Where's there good wave sailing? I would like to go to Greece. Cosmo's asking about Silt. I think Silt is going to try to compete. Is it going to work? I don't know. I really don't know with Silt, whether it's going to happen. I really, really don't know. Axel was in here earlier. Axel, are you still around? You still around? Because we're about to go through your video. Posted 2 videos. Axel, let us know if you're still in the chat. So Axel posted video from, oh great, cool. So Axel posted video from Viana, or photos from Viana before. All right, we're already watching this high quality. And I gotta say, man, this footage looks awesome. I really like a lot of what I see. I like linking turns. I like that you're going rail to rail. One of the big topics the last time when we were looking at the first pictures you posted from Viana was about turning the board more like side to side rather than getting it on the rails. And it looks like you're really doing a lot more rail work. You're a lot more aware of your rails. You're getting high fives with the wave. Like that looks like a solid turn, right? Like I can see you're coming up to this thing with speed. You've got, you know, like one of the things that we talk about in the coaching is turning your hips into the turn, which I can see you're trying to do. Right, I can see that here, where you're really leaning into the turn. Solid, you're rotating over onto your heels, you're getting your butt back into the, you know, right, when we talk about getting the butt into the circle of the turn for the cutback, you're getting that S in the hand, right? This motion, this hand here, you had some hand movement on the boom, connecting with the pocket of the wave. Really, you know, I can see you're carving deep, you're getting some spray. Hey Paul, this is an epic bottom turn to top turn. Boom. Into the next one, getting a high five on the white water. Boom, connecting with the white water. So I huge. I mean, you know, I asked you a few questions about how it felt for you before I wanted to say anything, but this looks like a different world compared to the photos from last time. Boom, another high five off the lip. I like linking the turns, getting the connections. When is a good time for Viana? I've never sailed Viana. It's another place actually I'd like to do coaching. I've heard that it's better in May, early June. Another high five. So when is the best time for Viana? Okay, I didn't know you could sail around Athens. Yeah, cool. August. The northern winds is the time for Greece. Okay. Leonard and Naxos, so check it out. Boom. Like the timing on this is so solid right here. Right? That's exactly when the wave is pitching. Coming in for another turn. Hey, Sven. So, Axel, this looks all really, really solid. You know, there's definitely some coaching minutia that I could give, but I like this a lot. I mean, basically, what I'd say is just do more of this. You know, you're seem to be finding the rhythm with the waves. You seem to be linking turns really well. You seem to be going rail to rail. You seem to be getting the timing right on the waves. So I really like everything I see there a lot. Like the timing, you know, you asked about timing. Looks good. It also looks like you're getting pretty vertical. I mean, we can go through some of the things in more detail, but for that session, I would say just kind of do more of that. Now the second session, so okay, that's the one we just watched. The second session is a lighter wind day, if I remember correctly, and you're on bigger gear. Yeah, right? Do I have that correct, or is this the windier day? Did I just mix those up, or is that right? No. This is the lighter day bigger board. And I can see that you're struggling more with the bigger board. Like you can really, hey Sal, you can really see it in this cutback, for example. Whereas in the cutbacks on the other board, you're really slashing through the water. And on this one, it looks like you're really having to work to get this board to turn. You know, and the turns are more drawn out than with the other board. And, you know, that's kind of normal. Like one of the things that is difficult as a pro is trying to get a big board that can turn as well as a small board. And it's pretty hard, sometimes impossible. So there definitely is a trade-off to going on a bigger board, right? Like your 94 doesn't seem to be as comfortable under your feet as was in an 84. Is that right? 82. But maybe there's some changes, maybe some fins you could put in to this bigger board that would help. Because you can see that you're doing the same things with your body, but you're not able to get the same response from the board. You also talked about fear and confidence, and it's hard for me to see, just with this angle, it's hard to see what's going on exactly with the waves. And so it's hard for me to say 100% because I can't tell necessarily where the critical section is and where you are in relation to it and what's happening. So it's just difficult with this angle. Fear is a difficult one. It's something I've been thinking about a lot, and it's something we've talked about before here. And something that I believe is that you really want to make sure that you can commit 100% to your line, to whatever it is that you're doing. And so if the waves are bigger and you're then more scared, choose a line that's different than what you would do with waves that were half the size. And so for me, like often when the waves are really big, so if we have, you know, huge waves, you know, I get scared, everyone gets scared. And so I'm not going to try and hit the lip on those waves. I'm not going to take the same line that I do when it's mast high or head high or whatever, right? And so in my head, I'm just thinking, okay, all I'm trying to do are some nice carving turns on the face and kick out. And then maybe I'll work myself up during the session to hit the lip once, and I'll say, okay, I just want to hit the lip once. This is a good section for it. And then maybe I'll do it a few more times. Maybe not at all. You know, maybe I'll just stick with the carving turns. And you know, the lesson there is that you really just want to be able to commit 100% to your line. And when you don't commit, that's when it gets dangerous. So it's when you put yourself in over your head, which is one reason I really don't like that, like, just go for it mentality, because you have to be able to commit. If you get yourself into a situation on a wave or your line on the wave where you start hesitating, then you start to slow down. Slowing down is the absolute worst thing you can do in any kind of situation like this. You want to keep your speed. Speed is your friend. It's easy to balance. Speed gets you out of the dangerous situations. But it's when you hesitate, you slow down, and you're a split second too late, you know, a few knots too slow, and that's when you get worked and you get smashed. So you want to be able to commit 100%. It's super duper important. And so then adjust the line on the wave to reflect that, right? So if it's big waves that are scary, you're going to be trying to do a different thing than if it's small waves and it's not scary. Now, for that thing, I want you to be committing 100%. I want you to be trying damn hard. And carving turns are spectacular. Carving turns are one of the holy grails of surfing and windsurfing, right? So there's no problem with focusing on that. And just knowing that you're not going to go near the lip. And maybe carving turns are even too much. And then maybe it's just about going down the line and picking up speed, you know, feeling the wave under your board. But I think, Axel, for you, carving turns are a good goal when the waves are are at a size where you're feeling like you can't commit 100%. And it's such good training. So not only are you then taking advantage of that day and you're committing to that day, but you're also working on your carving turns, which is something maybe you're not doing the rest of the time. And then, you still do carving turns in small waves sometimes, often, right? So it totally makes sense to put that training in, put that work in. But the most important thing is that you want to be able to commit 100% to your line on the wave. If you have more questions about fear, Axel, throw them in the chat or throw them in the group and we'll get to it. Biggest takeaway for me is that day one on the small board looks beautiful. Just keep doing that. For the bigger board, maybe you want to try a different set of fins to see if you can get it to turn better. Like my Pro Model K4 fins might help in a situation like this. I think they really help to initiate turns. I'm not sure which fins you're using on that board at the moment. I don't know if it's a quad or a thruster or a single. I don't know what kind of board it is. Maybe post that in the group. Maybe other people have advice as well. So I think your timing looked 100% solid in the first clip. The second clip looks maybe a bit off, but that's not clear whether it's from the bigger board, which is more difficult, or the bigger waves, which are maybe scary. And so that's difficult to say. And about the courage in the waves beyond 2 meters, I think it's a lot about, like I said, being able to choose lines that you can commit to 100%. And so if you're just doing these carving turns, you can ride a big wave and okay, I'm not going near the lip. I'm not going to fall. Make sure you've got your you know how to get in and out and all of that. Make sure you're safe in that kind of situation. Yeah, see if you can find some of my Pro Model fins. So you got to measure the boxes, or on K4 on the website they have some like a spreadsheet with boards and then what kind of toe in you need, because ideally the fins are towed in about 2 to 3 degrees, or about 3 degrees, kind of what you want. And that really helps the board initiate. For a quad, you probably want like 8ths. And see if, there's a lot of them around out in the world. So you can probably find some and you don't have to buy them, and just try them. See if it makes a difference. Maybe it doesn't. I find for me, they make a big difference, which is why I use them and why Steve and I work together to make them. All right, we've got the epic Dom doing this beautiful work for us, putting together time codes for all the past live streams. Absolutely amazing. I've still got to add some of these to the live streams on YouTube. I've not had much time, but Dom, I will do that. And thank you so much, everyone. Thank Dom so much. It's amazing. And thank you, Fabrice, as well, for all the work you're doing with the group Google document. So thank you guys. All right. Next up, Sel. What exactly is the technique for doing that light wind water start where you grab? Oh, this is an old one. Hold on. We already talked about the light wind water start. And he's nailed it. That's what the comment is. Great. Right on, Sel. Nice work. We celebrate that. Right on, Sel. Good job. Stoked. All right, we've got another comment from Sel, and then we've got the comments in my post here, which we'll go through quickly. So Sel says, over the past couple of months, this forum and all the other sailors have helped me to nail my fast tacks. Right on. No wind water start and fast tacks. Right on. All right, next is the infamous heli tack. I'm really close to nailing it. I've been really close to nailing it for about 2 years. What is the magic secret sauce to unlock this move? I'm sure that someone has been stuck here. I don't have any footage. There's just so many moving parts in particular. So one of the best things for learning heli tacks is to rent or borrow, if you know someone, a really big learner board, which takes the balance component out of it. So you've got like a, you know, I don't know what kind of learner board. It doesn't matter. One of these like Go boards from Starboard, or you know what I'm talking about. These like boards that people learn on, that you can have a picnic on, right? That you're not going to tip over. And go out on that board on a day that's not too windy. Or if it is windy, take a bit of a smaller sail, actually. It doesn't matter if it's windy. And just do heli tacks. Do 1,000 heli tacks. And you'll get really consistent at them. That is how a lot of people learned. It's not the only way to learn, but it sounds like you can kind of do the heli tack. And it sounds like you've done maybe a few of them. So you know a lot of the sort of like finer points of it. You just need the reps, and the reps are really hard when you have to worry about balancing on the board. So get that big board. I remember doing this. I used to go down to where they teach people and kind of borrow one of the big boards and practice all kinds of things. So both heli tacks and like duck tack, just all kinds of like sail dynamic things. And that practice is so important. But do this even when it's windy. Do it when the sail has power, but again on the big board. So that you don't have to worry about the balance. You separate the two components. You separate the balance from the sail dynamics. And then, okay, you're comfortable with the sail dynamics, even when it's 20 knots, 30 knots. And then take it to your board. And yeah, then you've got to learn the balance, but you've got the sail dynamics down 100%. And for me, I know that was huge, doing that work on the learner boards. We've got a few more comments here. Let's see what people say. Mark says, for me, the key points were during the rig flip, pulling the mast hand really close to your body. Look forwards where you want to exit. If you do the rig flip without stopping at clue first, you also need to lean your body slightly diagonally forward to counterbalance the sail. Yeah, that sounds right. Do you come out clue first? I normally flip as I come through the wind. When I do it, I flip the sail at the same time and catch it. But that's maybe just out of habit. There's no reason you couldn't come clue first. But sort of as the wind is coming, I think I find it a bit easier to flip the sail at that time. So Johan says, practice in really light winds first. Look at where you're going as stated as above. It helps to keep your mast hand fairly close to your body. Do the full rig rotation at once if the water is fairly flat. In more choppy water and stronger wind, I stop clue first to secure balance. That sounds right on. Light wind practice is underrated. Bring some friends and go out and practice. It pays off in balance, wind, and sail awareness. Typically 100-liter board, 4-point-meter sailor, and sub-layered planing conditions. Practice heli tacks upwind through sea. Yeah, so this is what I just said before. I can't stress this enough. And it's just about getting in those reps. It's like you want to do it 1,000 times. And try to sail lee side. So like go into the heli tack and then stay on the lee side. So the sail's coming, or the wind is coming at your face. The sail's also coming at your face. And you can push against it and try to sail like that and just go sailing out, on the wrong side of the sail and then flip it around. And just you put in, a few days like this on a big board, and you'll see it will pay off dividends. You'll see huge results. It really, 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 really helps. And do it like you said. Okay, you got 100% light wind with a big board and a small sail. Do it with stronger wind with a big board, but then the big board, and go with like the really big board. So Umberto's also saying about the light wind practice, and I really, that helps so much. You're just doing it 1,000 times. And so like maybe another thing you can do is if you're 100% on your big board, so maybe you don't even, I like going to the really big board and practicing when it's windy, but maybe it's also a matter of putting in more reps as well with your current setup, but in the light wind, where you are doing it 100%, but just nailing those reps And then you'll see it pay off, even if it feels like, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Just getting in that practice, and then when you go back to a windy day, you'll be better at it. You'll have more muscle memory, more awareness. So a few other people are saying the same thing I am, and I really, really agree with that. Umberto's also saying the heli tack is most useful in light conditions when you're underpowered, the advantage being, especially on small boards, that you can use the sail to keep your balance throughout the move. On the other hand, when you're well powered up, you can fast tack your kit with ease. I wouldn't spend much time to master the heli tack when it's blowing. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't really ever do the heli tack strategically. If I want a heli tack, I don't know, it's because I'm like stalling or something, which I guess is strategic. We're just kind of stalling around. So the silver bullet is putting in those reps. Really, this is one move where it's like you want to do it 100,000 times and then you get it. So that's the silver bullet, is just getting the reps, especially if you already know the sort of the basics of getting into the road. I mean, you can do it, right? So it's just the reps, getting the reps, and then getting the setup. So, maybe it's borrowing a bigger board or renting a bigger board so you can do it when you've got more power on that board. And yeah, just putting in those reps. It really helps. I mean, I remember so many days going down and doing this on bigger boards. Anytime I would teach someone to windsurf, teaching friends, afterwards I'd spend like 45 minutes, an hour just on that learning kit, working on sail tricks. All right, so questions. Max has some questions about gear setup. Max, all right, so that sounds perfect. Yeah, 150 is perfect for this. Perfect. All right, Max, tell me more specifically your questions. By the way, I missed it. Paul said they've had epic conditions down in Edinburgh recently, some sick down the line conditions to practice high fives, and some massive dead onshore storm conditions maxed out in 4.2. Sounds great. Do you have any footage? I want to sail in Scotland. All right, Dom, I tried to tune my straps as loose as Ben Prophet advised in this short video, but it felt crazy loose once on the water. I lost the board on each forward loop attempt, and worse, lost only the back foot on an air jibe attempt. Do you tune them that loose, please? Do you tune both straps, jump and surf side, as loose? Do you have the same loose tuning regardless of the spot? Good question. Great question. So I saw this thing from Ben Prophet. I thought it looked pretty good, but yeah, maybe it's too loose, and maybe it's too loose for you. His whole thing is about like turning the foot in the strap, right? And that's going to change also based on the dimensions of your foot, right? Like if you have a wide foot that's very flat, then the strap is going to be too big, right? If you have a narrow foot that's high, it's also going to cause issues, right? So, I don't think it's a perfect method. I think it's more just showing. I think what the reason Ben did this is just to show people that most people have their foot straps wrong, and it's just to kind of shock them and to get them to look at it, right? But is it a rule for setting foot straps? No, I don't think so. And I tried to do that with my foot straps, and I kind of could, but maybe my straps are a little bit tighter than that. And in some places I can get away with loose straps. Like I remember there was a year in Pozo where I really liked jumping with super loose straps. And I felt like my feet were kind of swimming on the board, but somehow that felt comfortable that year. I don't know. But if you're coming out of the straps on your moves, your straps are too loose. You got to make them tighter. You got to make them narrower. You got to change them. That's dangerous. It's too loose. So, all right, we've got another comment here. Holger is saying, overall width is one thing. For me, it's more important that the plugs are fitting in distance. I assume if Prophet is using his straps so loose wide, he will get the grip of the lower part of the strap. I don't know. I'm not sure if I understand what you mean by that, Holgar. Do you mean, I think Holgar means that the width is really important more than like changing the Velcro. And I agree with that. I think it's really important that you have the straps narrow enough. Yeah, you want the straps high, but you also want them narrow. Yeah. So, Dom Dom, don't go so loose that you hurt yourself. That doesn't sound good. But I think the main thing is just being aware of it. All right, Amit asks, why are sales from 5.5 on so heavy? Are we planning a whiskey and wave sailing tour in Scotland? I'm up for it. What are the dates? When are we going? Let's do it. When is that? This is like the Portugal experience week. We can do a Scotland experience. I like that. This is a great idea for places that are maybe not super consistent but do offer awesome windsurfing. Wait, I'm not saying Scotland's not consistent. Maybe Scotland is super consistent. I actually don't know. But like Portugal, for example, is amazing, but also it can be kind of tricky. All right, why are sales from 5.5 on so heavy? Sal's got a great answer here, which I was trying to think of an answer for this, and I like the thing about the mass because you've got more mast on the sail, right? So it is not just the extra sail weight, but more mast weight. I think there's also an aspect where, because whenever we were talking about sail weight, right? There's the actual sail weight, and then the weight that it feels like on the water. And I think when we're using really big sails, like sails over 5.5, then we're getting less efficient lift. Yeah, like Ragnar points out, it's also like more material, right? And more battens. Like battens are heavy, kind of heavy, but so it's just more stuff, right? You've got more swing weight as well, right? The things are extending out more, so you've got more swing. Like all of these are great answers. I think there's also something that's happening aerodynamically. I'm not an engineer, but just from my feeling is you have sort of a less, I don't know, a bit of a less efficient like, because it's not that it's a less efficient foil. Sails also, as they get bigger, get flatter. Slower. They respond slower, more swing. They're also getting flatter, so there's something that's changing with the aerodynamics as well, which also you need like bigger jumps, right? Like you can go from a 7.5 to an 8.5, or an 8.5 to a 7.5, right? Like imagine going from like in your quiver going from 4.5 to 5.5, like that would be pretty radical. Which also has to do with the percentage jump, right, of the area in comparison to the other size. But I think it also is something that relates to your question. Also, I find that bigger sails are less comfortable. So at a certain size, like maybe it's 5.2 and up or 5.5 and up, sails are less comfortable when they're overpowered. So like it's a lot easier to sail a 4.0 maxed out than a 5.5 maxed out, right? Like when the wind keeps coming up. So there's also like there's an aerodynamic difference as well there. But yeah, guys, I love the answers in the chat. Like these you guys are nailing it. Those are probably more relevant than what I just said. So those are some answers. Sorry, Rich, I don't know when the wind is coming back. Hopefully soon. Yeah, cool. So nice. Thanks for sharing, Sel. Right on. Right on. So Sim, hopefully this helps. Sel, thanks for sharing the knowledge. That's what we're all about. Right on. All right. Matt asked about footage from Portugal. I'm still waiting on the footage. So I sailed till dark and I flew out the next morning, and so there wasn't really time to collect footage. So it's going to be sent to me over like WeTransfer or Dropbox or something, and they're huge files. Huge files. So we'll see. All right. Foot straps, as mentioned by Dom. We went over that. Heli tack, talked about it. Board size. So question from Azel. Am I saying that right? Azel? How has board size evolved over the years? Which size for Pozo and which size for one board quiver for all-around wave sailing and sail sizes? How much power do you want and how small do you go? Big board, small sail, things like that. This is super interesting, and it's probably a topic for a podcast rather than a topic for me to just spout things off right now answering these questions. But I'll try my best. Boards have gotten bigger in wave sailing. With the multi-fin boards, they've gotten bigger. They've also gotten wider and they've gotten shorter. That's a change that I've seen in my career. So in the last 20 years-ish, even the last 15 years, I'm 31 and I started paying attention to board shapes maybe when I was 14, and they were super different then than they are now. They were really, at that time, really inspired by Jason Polikow, and people were on pretty small boards, narrow tails, pintail, single fin boards. I remember I had some experimental boards that were shorter and actually pretty similar to the modern boards we're riding now, that were made by Richard Green at that time. And they were amazing. They were so much fun to sail. And they're actually, funnily enough, more similar to what we ride now. But anyway, so then Cowley comes along. And yeah, right on. I love those sails. So Cowley comes along and he starts experimenting. He goes really short, really wide, multi-fin, twin fin, thruster, quad, and that shook boards up. And the quads could do the single fin, or the twin fins were cool, and like that was definitely the fad that everyone was on, and they're good boards. But then the quads really changed things, because I guess it was a combination of the outlines that were being done at the time, and then the fin boxes, or the going to the 4 fin boxes. That was a big change. And yeah, board volume just jumped up. Like 15 years ago at Hokipa, guys were riding, the average board was maybe 75 liters. And now the average board is maybe 85 liters. So it's pretty big increase in size, but because the boards turn better, you can get away with that size. And watching the old videos, there are definitely amazing aspects to those single fin, long, narrow boards. They feel super confident in big waves, and like if you watch the Polikow movies, they're pretty amazing. Pozo shapes have also changed. If you think of like the classic proof board from Dunkerbeck, from Pozo back in the day, it's really different than what people are riding now. I think there's a lot more variety now. You see some people still on single fins, twin fins, thrusters, quads. In general, board sizes I think have gotten bigger, and then shorter, way shorter, right? I mean, boards used to be like 240. No, they're like 220. I mean, that's a huge difference. I'm riding like 227, and those are long boards compared to people. So I don't know if that answers your question. Let me know if you've got more specific questions. Again, this could be a whole podcast going over board development, which reminds me, I got to post a thread or post a survey in the group, because I want to get the head tester for Surf Magazine Germany on the stream to talk about production boards, so that he can answer any questions that you guys have about boards. And a few different things that I had in mind are like, what does it actually mean to be freestyle wakeboard. What does I don't know. I want to throw it out to you guys. You guys give me the questions. I want to have the questions ahead of time so you can think about them. It can be about specific boards, but I kind of imagined it more general. But really, whatever you guys want to do, wherever you guys want to go with it. All right. Chris asks, tips for better rail engagement inside offshore conditions at the top turn. Maybe this also applies to other wind directions as well. I struggled with it because of the speed, maybe the angle, potentially the bigger board size. Chris, you know what I'm going to say. And it's that you got to stop pulling your hips up into your sail. Now, it's been a while since we've sailed together, so I'm not sure if you're still doing that, but that fits exactly with your question. The more you sink your hips back, get your butt back, use your legs as levers to get the board on the rail, the more rail engagement you're going to have. And I know that's something you were working on at the end of last year. So let me know how it's going. That is still one of the main ways to get the rail engaged. Fins also can help. So I know that you're on new boards, and I think that the fins that come with your boards, I don't want to say too many things, slide out too easily. So you might want to throw in some plastic fins. I swear I'm not trying to sell my fins through this group, but really we developed the fins for a reason, and they're a solution to some common problems. And Chris, I think it sounds like it. I think you might still have some fins from me that you tried in Denmark last year when we were doing the clinic together. If you do, try those. Otherwise, let me know or reach out to K4. With those boards, you want 10 centimeter Ezzy's with 2 degree of toe in. And that will help with the rail engagement for sure. But the other big thing is dropping your butt and using your legs as levers, so keeping your legs a little bit bent, pretty straight, but really using them to just crank that board on the rail rather than pulling your hips up. Amit wants Tenerife dates. You guys will get Tenerife dates hopefully tonight. I got to talk with my wife, like I said, after the stream just to confirm things. It will be kind of end of July, maybe that first week of August. Got to see kind of what fits with Portugal. So that will be announced. If you haven't answered questions on the survey, please do so. Yeah, cool. I think that's it. Okay, so it sounds like you guys got some good condition in Aga. That sounds nice. Sounds epic. All right, I think that is everything. It sounds like, or seems like, we've gone through all of the topics. If I missed something, just let me know. If you want clarification for something, let me know, either in the chat or in the group. Yeah, Ragnar, it can be tough to find flights to Tenerife. For gear, there are options for renting there. I've got some contacts in Tenerife, and I can reach out and see how they're doing. I don't know. I haven't been there really since COVID, so I don't know if things are how they were when I was there before, but I can check on that for you and let you know. Let me just write a note for that. Tenerife gear. Cool. All right. I'm going to sign off. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're not a member of the coaching group, join the coaching group if you want. There's a lot of discussion that goes on during the week. It's full of wonderful windsurfers, enthused about the sport, and they've got a lot of great knowledge to share. And I give my tips as well. So join the group if you haven't. If you want info, if you're not in the group and you want info about the clinics, put a comment on the YouTube video and I'll reach out to you. Tag me in the comment about the clinics. Alrighty, take care, everyone. I'm signing off. Have a windy week.